Ibrahim Maghul.
Here.
Yusuf Chaudhary.
Here.
Ibrahim Oka. Bilal Oka.
Here.
Muhammad Chaudhary.
Not here.
Salat Chaudhary.
Here.
It says Min Suhail Sachadina.
Here.
Adalisa.
Here.
Chachu Janine. Okay, طيب. Samira.
Here.
Safiya Chaudhary.
Here.
Sumaya Ali.
Here.
Maryam Maghul.
Here.
Asma Kamara. Anisa Zakik.
Here.
Yasmin Ahmed. Junaid.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Iman Wahili. Naeem Rivera. Musa Hemfadi. Huh? Limfaddal. Okay, guys, before we get started, I'm a kindly request for you people, you brothers and sisters, to help me pronounce your names. Walaikum salam. In the last class. Inshallah, if you can write it down, phonetically spell it out. Sister Adalisa, Sister Samira, Sister, you said Limfaddal, huh? That's pretty easy. Inshallah, you guys are going to help me out, okay? So I can say your names, okay? Inshallah, yes. Yes.
I just want to find a fan.
Right, no problem. Okay, where's Ahmed at? The whole family's missing. Abu Saleh.
Yes, sir.
لماذا تتأخر؟
I have to go to the airport.
الإيربورت قبل العلم؟
Yes.
أم بعد العلم؟ طيب. Let's see. Ibrahim, Yusuf, Muhammad, Chaudhary, Salat Chaudhary, Maryam, Safiya Chaudhary. They don't have you on there? I'm gonna put your name in, okay? Abu Saleh. All right. Now, before we get started, brothers and sisters, is everything ready, Saleh?
Yep.
Okay.
Mufti, my name was on this.
It sure wasn't. How could I forget that? Astaghfirullah. Khalil Rahman. MashaAllah. May Allah make you that. I mean. Anybody else didn't hear the name on the roll sheet? Anybody else didn't hear the name on the roll sheet? Okay. Let's get started. Okay, before we get started, brothers and sisters, if anyone has any questions, then it is upon them to let me know. If I don't know that you're waiting for a question, up the steps, down the steps, please do not become angry, whoever that may be. Okay? I'm here to serve you, brothers and sisters, inshallah, to the best of my humble ability. If you have questions, then you have to let me know. Okay? Inshallah. Hey. Alright, last class, we were explaining a few slides. Who can refresh us on what we were talking about? Who can refresh us on what we took in the last class? Mario.
We learned about introduction to jihad, Sharia.
Alhamdulillah. And we talked about jihad. Good. Tell me one thing you learned about al-jihad.
That really is to struggle.
The linguistic meaning of it is to fight, to struggle. Good. What else did you learn about it?
It's an act of worship.
It's an act of worship. So what does that mean? What do you benefit from it being an act of worship? Now, I mean, we know it's an act of worship, but what is it now? What new light or new scope do you have about jihad? Due to the fact that it's an act of worship. What do we get? What is the purpose of that? Of knowing that fact? We said that jihad what? Once we know that's an act of worship, is now what? What's the benefit we get from this? That you get a reward from Allah. Right. Okay, good. What else?
A shield.
We didn't mention that in class.
I wrote it down.
Okay, khair.
To shield yourself from.
To shield yourself.
Yeah.
Taqwa. That's taqwa on your name. Allah bless you. I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Say I mean.
I mean,
Yusuf.
I'm not the wrong word.
Make Allah's word the highest.
To make Allah's word the highest. What else does that mean, Khalid?
There are rules to it.
That once we understand that it's worship, it is now a new ball game, a whole different playing field. That now it can't be done ala kayfik, how you want it to be done, because it's ibadah. And ibadah, ahsant, according to the kitab and the sunnah and the ijma', the consensus. And if it's not according to the kitab and the sunnah, then it's fruitless. Just like the person who prays without wudu. No matter how sincere he was, Ibrahim, you're sincere. No matter how much he loved Allah, no matter how long he stood up in prayer and how much dua he made until his voice went, bare, raw, hoarse. If he didn't have wudu, he didn't face the qibla, then his prayer is what? Batil. Okay? But if he did it according to the proper way, you'll get the fruit and the reward from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's jihad in Islam. From the greatest acts of worship. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that the highest part of Jannah, what is beneath the highest part of Jannah?
Second to highest.
What's beneath the highest part of Jannah? Anybody know? What's the roof? The canopy?
Oh, the throne of Allah.
Throne of Ar-Rahman. What is it beneath? What is it? What's the top of that? What's on the canopy? It says what? Inna al-jannata tahta ish. They said the paradise is beneath swords. That are jihad in Allah's cause is one of the greatest acts of worship in Islam. There's no doubt about that. And anyone who says otherwise has not believed in the Quran and the Sunnah. Has not believed in the Quran and in the Sunnah. However, it is ibadah, and which you must learn the basics of, and you stay at those basics. When other issues come up, other matters come up that are beyond the basic knowledge, then you must go back to the people of knowledge. And if you don't, it's just like the prayer. Okay? Hey, what else did we discuss? Salat.
3 levels of people in Sharia.
3 levels of people with regards to the Sharia. Good. Number 1 is the what?
Mujtahid.
The mujtahid. Number 2 is the muttabi'. Number 3?
Al-Muqallid.
Al-Muqallid. Very good. What does that mean? Mujtahid is one in your own simple terms. Is what?
He has his own knowledge and he can make...
He's free. To reason, to look, to deduce, to make a ruling based off what Allah has given him. With the necessary steps and qualifications. Number 2.
Muttabi' is someone he has knowledge, but he still doesn't have enough to make his own decision. He needs
100%. He's, in the middle. Half and half. Halfway there. Right, good.
Can you give me an example of a muttabi'?
We'll come. Just keep...
Muqallid is a layman who...
a layman. Someone who doesn't have too much knowledge. Okay? Someone who doesn't have too much ilm. Okay, tell him to be nice, okay? Tell him to be nice, okay? Okay, would you like to come in here with me? Okay, find a chair. Now, we said what? That the muqallid is the Muslim who is a layman or laywoman. Somebody that follows the fatwa of one who's above him or above her. Okay? A muttabi' is like a student of knowledge. He's been overseas for a couple of years. He's memorized some Quran, maybe the entire Quran. He knows Arabic. He knows some principles, some basic things in usul al-fiqh, kada wa kada. He can reason looking at the different fatwas. This opinion here is strongest because the Dalil is in Bukhari, and this one is weak. But he doesn't have the ability to determine and decipher the hadith himself and go to the original source and critique the hadith and come up with a conclusion, hadith sahih, hadith da'if. Clear? He's in intermediate, okay? In the middle. Clear? Okay, what else did we discuss? Brothers and sisters, what else? Yalla. Khalil. Close the door, Yusuf.
Three main forms of taqwa.
3 main forms or pillars?
Pillars.
Big difference between form and pillar. First,
belief in the Kitab and Sunnah.
every type of information. All types of information from Kitab and Sunnah. Akhbar, Malaika, Jinn, heaven, earth, hell, paradise, grave.
Then complying with
Do what Allah tells you to do. And thirdly, to avoid the prohibitions. Whatever His law and His Master tell you to stay away from. Your taqwa will reach the level and its peak according to your implementation of those 3 pillars. You do all of that. The first pillar, you have to believe in everything. There's nothing relative about that. Okay? But the second 2, how much you comply to Allah and His Messenger's commands. Alright? Allah says, pray. The Prophet ﷺ tells you to pray. You pray all the time. I make the obligatory prayer, the voluntary prayer, the recommended prayer, this prayer, that prayer, and you'll reach your level of taqwa. If you just make the 5 daily prayers, you still have taqwa. But it's not the highest level of taqwa. Allah and His Messenger tell you to stay away from many, many, many things. I stay away only from the haram things, but the dislike things I do. You have taqwa, but it's not what? It's not high octane or hakada. Okay? As for the first pillar, you have to believe in everything. There's no I believe in 90%, but 10% I don't believe in. La. Everybody clear on that? Alright. What else did we talk about? Yusuf.
Ways to achieve taqwa.
Ways to achieve taqwa. Good. What else? Sisters. What else did we talk about? What else did we talk about? Sophia, Yalla. What did we talk about last class?
Taqwa has many different meanings.
Taqwa has many different meanings. Good. Such as?
Sometimes it means salah, or sometimes it means sincerity.
Right. Good. What else did we talk about in the last class before we move on today?
Components of Sharia,
Components of the Sharia. Such as?
hygiene and purification, economic law, dietary laws,
Dietary laws. What you eat is a part of the Sharia.
marital jurisprudence,
Right.
theological.
Who you can get married to? When you can get married? How you can get married? How many times you can get married? It's all a part of the Sharia. Okay? And this goes to show you how the Christians have no Sharia. They don't have no law, period. They do whatever they want to do and just go to church. Okay? Their Sharia is either full of innovations, laced with heresies, or something that was it's abrogated, it's been canceled, wiped away. It's no longer a rule. Okay, Taya, what else?
Military jurisprudence.
What happened to that? Taya, what else? One more thing before we go on. Mariam,
How to achieve taqwa?
how do you achieve taqwa?
There's many ways that you can remaining in the company of pious.
Pious Muslims, not just Muslims, but pious Muslims. A big difference. Not all Muslims are pious. There's some Muslims that are wicked and sinful. Some Muslims that are ignorant and foolish. Even though they're Muslims, you remain in the company of the knowledgeable Muslims, Naeem. The good Muslims. Not all Muslims are going to help you in life, okay? Some Muslims will jam you up. Have you in a tight situation. Sorry, what else?
Constantly reflecting on death.
Thinking about death. That is a reality. A day's going to come when I'm going to be in that grave. Well, how have I prepared for that? What insurance policy do I have for the grave? Your car insurance? People get life insurance, health insurance, death insurance, dental, care. They worry about that all day long, right? It'll determine which job they take. No, don't get that job that has bad benefits. It pays good, but no benefits, right? What about your children? Or how many people think about insurance for the grave? What have I invested for my grave? What righteous deeds do I have stacked up? What yaqeen do I have when those angels come to me asking me those questions? Right? Anyone else? Samira, Yalla.
Which I learned a lot from is the agreed sources of Sharia,
Nah.
which are the Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, Qiyas, Hijab, so JIhad, and Ijma is one of the strongest source or proof that
something is a rule.
is, and that's because the text, the interpretation of the text can be different, and so the older scholars, they come upon it and agree on that thing. Like, for example, they give us as a hijab, some people they might understand as it's only for the prophet, the wives of the prophets, or before a woman, but it's, the scholars, they agree upon that it's for all women.
Good. Very good. And that's a very beneficial principle in Islam. Very beneficial to understand this. There's no ulama who are doing what you're doing. And many people that come today and they say, oh, you can do this, lie. But the imam that you're claiming, he didn't say that. He said it was haram, along with the rest of them. Tayyib Saleh, last thing.
I have a question about the ijtihad.
Okay?
Like, who can give ijtihad?
Ijtihad is for a person that's qualified. Okay? It doesn't have to be a big, most knowledgeable alim in the world, but a strong student of knowledge. A strong student of knowledge who's fundamentally sound with regards to Quran, with regards to Hadith, with regards to the Arabic language, with regards to the sciences of the Arabic language, with regards to usul al-fiqh, with regards to mustalah hadith, jarh wa ta'dil, knowledge of hadith, what's authentic, what's not authentic, knowledge of the ayat that talk about ahkam, the rulings and regulations in the Quran. Okay, knowledge of the madhahib of the ulama. He has to be aware of the khilaf and of the ijma'. Okay, when the student of knowledge reaches this level after years and years of hard work and study, okay, and tireless efforts and understanding and being beneath his teacher, he can discern, he can decide on certain issues. And it doesn't have to be an absolute mujtahid in everything, but one issue he can say, make it ijtihad, okay? So someone who's a learner, scholar, and the word scholar in the English language is very different than in the Arabic language. People today, they use the scholar for one narrow understanding. A scholar linguistically means in our language, let alone culture, is a person who's studious and learned. That's one of the meanings of the word scholar. I'll say you're a scholar. You're a scholar. You read books. You don't play sports. You know, like a nerd, basically. He's a scholar. He's an athlete. Right, Ibrahim? You say, well, if you're describing his children, what's the personalities of your sons? The oldest one is that he's a scholar. He's an athlete. He's a kether. He's this. Right along Khalid. Make sense? In other words, you know what I mean? He knows everything. And he's 90 years old? No. But it means that he's studious and he's learned. Okay? A pious, studious type of person. Another word, meaning of the word scholar, is someone who has a degree, who specializes in a specific science. Someone who specializes in a science. Okay? Hey, but the term overseas, people, they confuse the two. They confuse the two. Yalla, Namshi. We'll come back to the questions. We'll come back to them. Let's get started, inshallah. Okay. It says here, jihad types. Now we're going to talk about the different types of jihad. We spoke about its meaning. We mentioned some of its virtues in brief. Okay? Some of its ways of understanding that it's an act of worship and it's done according to a systematic process. Now we have jihad types of jihad.
Jihad types, jihad al-nafs, shaitan, jihad al-kufr, munafiqeen, jihad with the Quran, the pen, jihad how to conduct. The most important aspect of jihad is the divine wisdom behind its legislation. To make Allah's word the Most High and propagate and defend Islam. Jihad has been legislated as a means of bringing peace, security, safety, and prosperity, and not meant to kill, spill blood, plunder, and destroy. Depending on the type of jihad, as previously mentioned, will it be conducted individually, collectively, obligatory, recommended, disliked, unlawful, etc.
Alright.
So what is it?
Alright, guys. Now we have the types of jihad. We mentioned here three main types of aim. Three. Okay? The first is called jihad al-nafs, or jihad of the shaitan. For a person to fight and to struggle and to come with grips and with blows with his own desires and whims, his own sins and mistakes and shortcomings, the things that your nafs wants and is inclined towards, you are not to submit to. You're to fight it. Okay? You may become wounded by making that sin and falling to your shaitan. You get back up and keep fighting. This type of jihad isn't the easy jihad. This is hard. It's difficult. And it's very simple for a person to neglect his own nafs and try to make jihad on something or someone else. Very easy. I want to make jihad. I want to do this jihad. But he's not making jihad against his own nafs. Okay? So therefore, this concept of jihad al-nafs is to force yourself to do anything that's positive and to force yourself to refrain from anything that is negative. Whether it's pertaining to staying away from alcohol, refraining from smoking, refraining from fornication, refraining from cursing and swearing and lying, refraining from eating from riba, usury or interest, refraining from murder, disrespecting one's parents, accusing righteous, chaste, believing women. Anything that you can think of that's a sin and a crime in Islam, and your nafs calls for it, and is inclined towards, you must fight it. And it's not always easy to fight, sorry. Sometimes it's just a struggle. And that's why it's used the term jihad. And anybody who knows anything about war knows that there are casualties of war. And that war is delightful and pleasurable to those who have no experience of it. People today, they cut on the television, oh, I want to watch a war movie. They want to play Call of Duty and this video game and that video game is cool and it's fun. But people actually live that life and are in that situation, nothing about it is fun. As a wise man once said, war is hell. Nothing about it is easy and sweet. Nothing about it is delightful. And this is a comparison that you must make with your nafs. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be a simple, 1, 2, 3. No, it's going to take some time. It takes a struggle. And sometimes it's bitter. So the believer is the one who ties up his boots, straps up and laces up, and he's willing to fight with his own nafs. And it is also the call of the shaitan. Okay? When you're alone, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're bothered, when you're around your friends, you always have to have your guard up. You never ever allow your enemy to come close and catch you off guard. Okay? Jihad. Next type is jihad al-kuffar / the munafiqeen. And this is the actual physical fighting of the kuffar. To give one's wealth and to give oneself, and the defense and then the spreading about Islam by way of physical force. By way of physical force. Whether it's those kuffar that are clearly against the Muslims, or whether it's those munafiqeen that are inside the citadel of the Muslims. Those who say they're Muslims but they're not Muslims. They believe not in Allah on the last day. And this also pertains to the third type, jihad with the Quran / the pen. In other words, to defend Islam through what you write, Ibrahim, or what you say, a radio station, a YouTube video, a book, a newspaper article, a public debate, a forum. This is all considered to be jihad fi sabilillah, in which you defend the deen. Someone lies upon the religion, makes fun of the Prophet ﷺ, accuses the Muslims of this, accuses the Quran of that, going against the Orientalists, those who say that the Quran is so on and so forth, the Hadith is so on, to fight them with your pen. Pick up your pen like a sword, and to write and to defend your deen. Or, even better than defending the religion, is attacking them. Because the best defense is a good offense, to keep pressure on your opponent before you worry about him putting pressure back on you. So therefore, it is upon us to write about how their scriptures have been distorted and tainted with. Things have been taken out, things have been put in, and which the books they have today are not, that's not even the word of God. What you call today the Bible is not what Allah sent upon Jesus. Evident. And this is what most Christians themselves say. That's not the words of God. That is a bunch of stories, fables, lessons, and interpretations of people that are claimed to be the disciples of Jesus. So instead of defending the Quran, and let's talk about your book. We're not talking about Allah's book. There's a big difference, guys. We believe that there was an Injil sent down, and it was a perfect book. It was a kitab munazzal. Divine scripture. But that you read, King James, New, Old, that is not the words of God. And if it is, there's only small pieces left among a ton of things that came from the whims of men. So therefore, we're not going to defend the Quran, but we're going to attack your book. We're going to attack your religion. We're going to talk about your statistics. We're going to talk about how you treat women. And what do you say about people that are not upon your faith? And so on and so forth. Muslims today have become so complacent, and whenever we write or talk or speak, in most cases, it's always on the defense, and that's wrong. And just like you have defensive warfare, you have offensive warfare. And sometimes the best warfare to fight is to be on the offense. So to write, defending the Sunnah, defending the Quran, defending the Muslims is considered an act of jihad. And it, by any case, lesser or more insignificant than the physical jihad with one's body. Rather, jihad with the pen could be far more burdensome, far more difficult, and require a greater deal of patience than jihad with one's physical body. There's no doubt about that. Anyone who's ever wrote a book knows the efforts that go into that book. Okay? However, all three of these types of jihad are from the deen, and they're important. In other words, bin Suhaib, what we're trying to say here is that jihad is obligatory upon every single Muslim one way or another. If there's a woman, she does not have to make physical jihad, she has to do one or three. One or three. You have to make jihad nafs. Your husband angered you, you want to say something back to him, you have to make jihad nafs. La. That's it. Your children angered you or whatever, you work, whatever you do, al-muhim. Your nafs is calling you to something, you have to refrain from that. Okay? A young sister, a young woman, she wants to go outside of her house, she wants to show her charms and show her adornments. Her friends tell her, oh, you're young, you're beautiful. Don't waste your life wearing a potato sack. You have years to cover up. You have years to wear hijab. You have years. Go out, have fun, get some attention, get a boyfriend, so on and so forth. And she looks in the mirror, she says, yeah, that's right, I am. That, you have to make jihad nafs. Fight yourself. You have to stifle your desires. So if you don't physically fight, then you must fight with your nafs. If you don't fight with your nafs or fight with the kuffar and the munafiqeen, you fight with the third type, jihad of the pen. And some of the best authors are women, alhamdulillah. So therefore, the point I'm trying to get to is there isn't a Muslim that is not required to make some type of jihad. Everybody understand this? One way or another. If the Muslims don't have no power, no strength, no state, then there's other types of jihad that they're required to make. There's never a time when a Muslim says, "Ma mujahid, ma ana mujahid. I'm not a mujahid. La, khalas. Jihad, la, mafi. It's always jihad. One way or another. Everybody understand this? Everybody understand this? Just like the concept of da'wah. Every Muslim is held responsible of making da'wah one way or another. You're not an alim, I'm not the imam of the masjid, I'm not a sheikh, I don't speak fluent Arabic, but you can give out a book. You can give a book to someone, you can say a good word to someone, you can be clean and neat and respectable, you can hold a door for an old lady in a restaurant, and she sees that you're a Muslim. That's the type of da'wah. You can talk to your neighbors on their level, according to what you know. That is the type of da'wah. Every Muslim is responsible for making some type of da'wah. Everybody clear on this? Right. And the two things upon which Islam stands, number one is ad-da'wah, and number two is al-jihad. The two ways that Islam survives and thrives and is spread and protected is da'wah and jihad. Jihad and da'wah. Calling the people, struggling against the people. Struggling and calling. Teaching, fighting. It's always a balance. Okay? Moving on. How to conduct jihad. The most important aspect of jihad is the divine wisdom behind its legislation. In other words, if you want to make jihad, why was jihad legislated? For what purpose? Do we even understand what jihad means? People who say they make jihad, Muslim or not Muslim, the news, the media, this person in this country, this person in that country, do they understand what the word jihad means? It does not mean to kill. It does not mean to spill blood foolishly. Okay? That's not the divine wisdom behind this legislation. It was meant to make Allah's word the most high and propagate and defend Islam. If you can do that through the pen, do it with the pen without spilling someone's life, without spilling someone's blood and taking their life. Okay? So it all depends on what's most beneficial. There's no one set rule for parts of jihad. Jihad has been legislated as a means of bringing peace security, safety, and prosperity, and not meant to kill, spill blood, plunder, and destroy. If there's a lack of peace, if there's a lack of security, if there's a lack of safety, okay, if someone is killed, if blood is spilled, and things are plundered and destroyed, then these are nothing but sacrifices that lead to the ultimate goal of bringing about peace. And we made an example of this. If a police officer saw someone being battered in the street, and the only way he could stop the one who's battering that person was to use physical force, he would have to use physical force. And if that person that was abusing the next person put out a knife or a gun or a stick or a weapon, and the police officer had no choice but to put a bullet in his heart to stop that violence, it was warranted. You understand? And no one will blame the police officer as long as he didn't use excessive force. Everyone saw the guy pull out the gun and aim at the police officer. The police officer was quick on the draw and he shot and killed him in the street. His life had to go. This guy ran into the mall with a gun, shooting and spraying people. What did you say? Don't kill. Can't kill. It's forbidden to kill. Let him just shoot 20 people in the mall. Class. No. No one in their right mind talks like that, Musa. Nobody. So the police officer, he put it into that man's life. And he shot him 10 times, close range. That's excessive. You understand what I'm saying? That's excessive. The guy ran at the police officer put out the gun and shot him 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And he had no weapon. That's unnecessary. Everybody understand? There's a balance. There's a balance. So that is the purpose behind jihad. Depending on the type of jihad, as previously mentioned, it will be conducted. Physical jihad, physically. Spiritual jihad, spiritually. Jihad with the pen, وهكذا. It will be conducted individually. Jihad al-nafs by yourself. Collectively. Jihad al-kufar wal-munafiqeen. Jihad al-Quran, we come together to put a book together, we make a radio station, defending Islam, attacking the non-Muslims and their religion. Obligatory. Some jihad is wajib. Some jihad is recommended. Not all jihad is obligatory, brothers and sisters. There are types of jihad that is not wajib. It's not fard. And there's some jihad that's disliked. It's disliked for you to go out and fight or to struggle. You should be focusing on doing something else right now. And there's some jihad that is haram, la yajuz, impermissible for you to establish jihad. Okay? Such as what? When would it be unlawful to make jihad? Sumayya. When would it be unlawful to make jihad? Give it a shot. When would it be haram? You can't do it. Very easy answer. Anybody want to give it a shot? Khalid?
In times of peace.
In times of peace. Just let's say you have an agreement. Ceasefire. You both agree not to fight each other and someone breaks the contract. Good. Be haram. What else? Bin Suhaib.
When the other side is ill-equipped or insufficient to fight back.
If they've declared war against us, their lack of, readiness, that's their problem. Yusuf.
You have your own problems to deal with.
Not necessarily. Samira.
To kill yourself.
To kill yourself.
And that's what they use.
We don't know controversial issues. When would jihad be unlawful? Is killing yourself considered jihad?
Yeah.
No.
No, but something.
Anissa.
No.
When? No, when? When would it be unlawful to make jihad? We're not talking about the type of jihad, you're talking about a time. When would it be unlawful? An instance, a situation, a scenario.
When there's like a bunch of women and children, I guess?
That's not necessarily the time. That's a specific situation.
Maybe during Ramadan.
Junaid, yalla.
Ramadan.
No. The Battle of Badr was during the month of Ramadan.
Oh, I'm a new Muslim.
Tayyib. When would it be unlawful to make jihad? Let's say when the jihad is not obligatory and a person doesn't seek the permission from his parents.
What?
When jihad is only recommended. Sometimes jihad is recommended. In order for you to participate in a recommended act, you have to do what, Saleh?
Ask your parents.
Ask your parents' permission. Because it's not obligatory, but taking care of your parents is obligatory. You're losing your life is a problem with regards to your parents. But if jihad was wajib, do you have to ask permission, Musa?
No.
But if jihad was what?
Recommended.
He can't go unless he says, mother and father, can I go? Everybody understand this? Or, let's say if the jihad wasn't obligatory and he had a debt. I said, yo, give me my money, Yusuf. Give me my money. Yalla, where's my money at? Okay? They said, no, I'm going to fight jihad. I said, I want my money. You might not go back. I need my money. Okay? In other words, the ruling, we don't want to spend too much time on this, but a jihad as a general concept is obligatory upon every Muslim. Jihad in a specific meaning, the asl, the original ruling is that it's only recommended until it becomes obligatory. Until it becomes what? When does jihad become obligatory, Ibrahim? Who knows when jihad becomes fard ayn? Salat.
When you're being attacked, the Muslims.
When the Muslims are being attacked and they do not have enough strength to fight back, everybody must go out. Everyone. There's no debts. My mother, father, they gotta go out. Your country is under threat and there's not enough strength to repel that attack. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number two. Yalla, come on guys. I want you guys to throw anything. Yalla. Bismillah.
Somebody declares war against you.
La. Come on, keep trying. It's all good. I'm sorry to think. Yalla, Khalid, let's go.
If someone, if you don't do jihad, if you don't do it, then you're gonna fall into haram.
La. Keep trying.
If you're unable to,
Father Ibrahim.
If you're able to.
La.
if you're unable to pray or practice,
La.
If you're not
When was jihad obligatory? Number one, if the Muslims fall under siege. The kuffar have invaded their country, everybody is needed. Number two, if the Muslim ruler calls upon everyone, everyone must go out. When the Muslim leader said he declares a general state of war has existed between us and them, all men from the age of 35 to 18 are needed. You must go. Another time when jihad is obligatory is when you actually go to the battlefield. You can't turn back. Now you gotta fight. You can't say, oh, it's only recommended. I'm going back home. I'll be back. Huh? I left something in the oven. Nah, now you gotta go. Okay, Bilal? Tayyib? There's certain times when jihad is recommended. Things that are obligatory take precedence. I owe Abu Salih money, and I go out and do a recommended act of jihad. That is la. Because he has something that's wajib. I have to pay him back his money. Jihad is not. But if jihad was obligatory, then there wouldn't be no phone call. Everybody understand this? Everybody with me? Sumay, you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just like recommended al-muhim, everybody got the general concept. It's just like any other act of worship. There's times in which it's obligatory, times in which it's recommended, times in which it's haram, times in which it's disliked, times in which jihad is valid, times in which jihad is invalid. وَهَكَذَا. Right, moving on. Salat, what is it? Why? Follow. Khalid.
So what is it worth?
We need to read it from the sisters now. Yalla, bismillah, somebody. Who wants to read?
The word salat literally means invocation. In Islam, its most specific meaning is the act of worshiping Allah by making specific statements and actions that begin with reciting takbir and end with making taslim. Prayer is the second pillar of Islam. Prayer is the only act of worship that is obligatory upon every single Muslim, male or female, wealthy or poor, healthy or ill, etc. Prayer is linked.
Is it major link?
Prayer is a major link and connection between the servant and his Lord.
Or Lord, that's
Or Lord.
correct, yeah.
Keep going.
Please.
Salat, bismillah. Importance. Prayer is the decisive barrier between the slave and kufr. Prayer is the only deed when left off that the companions considered to be kufr. Prayer is the first thing from the slave's deeds and actions that will be looked at on the day of judgment. Prayer is an inhibitor from acts of lewdness and evil. Prayer is a means of the slave cleansing himself or herself at least 5 times a day. Prayer is a major means of dealing with the stress and toils of life. Salah, Fard and Sunnah and Nafil. It is possible to divide to the prayer with
It's
regards
possible to divide to the prayer.
with regards to its level of legislation. into the following categories. Number 1, that which is obligatory according to all of the people of knowledge. Number 2, that which some of the people of knowledge hold to be obligatory and others don't. Number 3, that which is recommended to all of the people of knowledge. Number 4, that which is highly recommended, borderline obligatory. Number 5, that which is recommended and has a specific time and place. Number 6, that which is recommended and can be unconditionally performed in any time or place and in any number or modality. I can't on one mouth.
Right, may Allah bless you. You want to read, Ramla? Okay, Bismillah.
It is possible to divide the prayer.
Next slide, baby. How to achieve khushu'.
How to achieve khushu'. Realizing that khushu' is highly recommended and many scholars hold the view that it's called realizing who you are standing in front of, understanding that worthy things that come to your mind while praying are only made possible by Allah's will. Realizing the lack of khushu' in prayer is an act of stealing. Keeping in mind Allah's praise of those who have khushu' in their prayer, realizing that while you pray you're having an intimate conversation with Allah that itself.
Good job. Okay, very good. All right, guys. Now we move on to the Salat. We said the word Salat literally means invocation. The word prayer literally means to make dua. Nothing to do with saying takbir, bowing, praying, no, to make dua. This is one of the meanings of the word Salat. Number 2. In Islam, its most specific meaning, it has other meanings, but its most specific meaning is the act of worshiping Allah by making specific statements and actions that begin with takbir and end with taslim. In other words, there's another meaning for the word salah in Islam. Nothing to do with the Arabic language. We say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَلَيْكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. Salah. Allah prays to the people, but it has different meaning. But here we're talking about an act, a physical act, Ibrahim. Physical act. Okay? What is that physical act? The physical act is based off of worshiping Allah. So when we say that it's worshiping Allah, what does that include? What does that include? Ibrahim Abu. It's worship. Salah is worshiping Allah. What does that mean?
To celebrate Allah.
What does that mean now? What did I teach you guys? Maryam, of your brother. Once we say there's an act of worship, it now enters the realm of what?
Certainly.
Then it has rules, conditions, prerequisites, do's and don'ts, according to? It's the moment we say worship, that is a whole different ballgame. You understand, Maryam? Ibrahim? You guys with me? You guys understand? We say hijab is ibadah. So now there's rules to hijab now. You can't just wear or do what you want, how you want to do. It's ibadah. Okay? Everybody understand this? Alright. It is the act of worshiping Allah by making specific statements and specific actions. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Raising your hands. Bowing down, putting your fist on your knees, making your back straight, not putting your head up, nor putting it down, but right in the middle like this. Okay? Putting your feet together or apart, spreading your arms. Anything that's doing your salat, specific acts, specific statements. When do you make those actions and statements? How do you begin them? By making takbir. And how do you finish those acts? By making the taslim. Prayer is the second pillar of Islam. The importance of Islam, the virtue of Islam, the magnificent status of Islam. Prayer is number 2. It's the second banner. Prayer is the only act of worship that is obligatory upon every single Muslim. Not Hajj, not Zakat, not fasting, not Jihad. Not marriage, not buying, not selling, not being an imam. Every Muslim must pray. Male or female, poor, rich, sick, crippled, paraplegic, whatever their condition is, they must make salat. As long as they have sound mind, as long as they have their mental faculties working. Prayer is a major link, a major connection between the servant and his Lord. Allahu Akbar. You have stress, you have worries, you have sorrow, you have grief, you want need, you want something, call upon Allah. Pray. Seek help in prayer. Ask Allah for something. Salah, the importance of it. Prayer is the decisive barrier between the slave and kufr. Waliyadu billah. Between the slave and kufr is prayer. Major kufr, minor kufr. Do you become a non-Muslim if you don't pray? What's important is that you fall into kufr. And as they say, ahlahuma amur. The sweeter of the two is bitter. Sweeter of the two is bitter. Don't play around with your Islam. No matter what you're going through, as we said before, no matter what state you're in, always make the salah. We said this before in the class, right? We said this. Right, Musa? No matter what you're doing, pray. If a Muslim has a drug addiction, try to make the salah before you get high. As soon as you come out of that addiction, pray. As soon as you come sober, make the salah. Sister doesn't wear hijab, unfortunately, bring your garment with you in your car, at work, at school. When it's time to make dhuhr, don't say, I'm not going to pray because I'm wearing pants and a shirt. La. Put on the hijab and offer the salah. Because some scholars say that the one who does not make salah has left Islam. But they don't say that the Muslim woman who doesn't wear hijab has left Islam. You understand? No matter what you're going through, because the shaitan is going to whisper to you. Don't make salah. You can't make salah in this state. You're going to be a hypocrite. Well, look how you dress. Then you're going to put on a robe and pray? That doesn't make sense. That's stupid. They say this all the time. Nah, I have to pray. I'm sorry. Give me 5 minutes. I will go back to this evil deed. Waliyadhu. But I have to pray. At least that's the last part of my religion that I have to hold fast. And you never know. You may make that salat, and Allah may bless you and make it easy to leave off those sins. You understand? Amen? Right, moving on. Prayer is the only deed, when left off, that the companions consider to be kufr. And many of the ulama, they hold the opinion that those who do not pray have committed major kufr. Waliyadhu billah. We'll explain this more. Yes, sorry. Time?
Time is 6:50. 6:46.
What time is the break?
7.
Okay, we're going to stop here and we'll explain the rest after the break. Everybody get ready. Khalil, we'll take a couple minutes to give out these homework assignments right now. Alright guys, Khalil, you ready? Bismillah, come on.
Ready?
Okay. Ibrahim. Which one? Okay. Your homework assignment is to find the proof in the Quran that the word salat literally means invocation. Number 2. To literally find the dalil in the Quran al-Kareem that the word salat بمعنى الدعاء. إيش الدليل على هذا؟ أن الصلاة بمعنى الدعاء. هل في آية ذكر فيها الصلاة بمعنى الدعاء؟ طيب؟ واضح؟ Moving on. Salih, your job is to give a detailed description of the second point. Detailed description. Bilal.
Yep.
Your proof is, or your homework is to give 3 hadith to prove the third point. 3 different hadith with the narrator and where the hadith can be found.
Wait,
No time to wait. Number 4. Prayer is the only act of worship that is obligatory upon every single Muslim, male or female, wealthy or poor, healthy or ill. Who's next? Musa. Your job is to find the proof for that you must pray no matter what. In the Quran or the Sunnah, or both. Who's next? Junaid. We want you to talk about this. Prayer is a major link in connection between the servant and the Lord. Proof from the Quran. Write something about that, please. Moving on. You have bin Suhail. Prayer is the decisive barrier between the slave and kufr. Bismillah. Prayer is the only deed when left off that the companions considered to be kufr. That is your job, Khalid. Where is the narration that the companions considered those who didn't pray to be upon kufr? If you don't pray, then you've made kufr. And the companions considered it to be kufr, not to pray. Prayer is the first thing. Ibrahim Magul, Hadith, Naeem. Prayer is something that stops you from doing bad, evil deeds. The proof from the Quran. That prayer stops you from doing bad things. Samatar. Next point. Prayer is a means of the slave cleansing him herself at least 5 times a day. Hadith, along with the explanation of it. Your next, Samira, your destiny. Prayer is a major means of dealing with the stress and toils of life. That's easy, Jiddan. From the Quran, that's very easy.
Sumaya.
Samira. Salat, Fard and Sunnah, Nafar. Okay, it's possible to divide the prayer with regards to the following categories. That which is obligatory according to all of knowledge. Lisa. Sister Abdurrahman. That which some of the people of knowledge hold to be obligatory and others don't. Who's next? Abu Saleh. That which is recommended to all of the people of knowledge. List all of the prayers that are only recommended according to all of the ulama. Yes, Saleh.
You want a detailed explanation?
We can't go back on no assignments. That which is highly recommended, borderline obligatory. Yusuf, Chaudhary. Iman. That which is recommended and has a specific time and place. Specific acts of prayer that are good things to do, but they're doing special times. No talking. Woe to the talkers and the chatters. That which is recommended and can be unconditionally performed anytime, any place. Sophia, Chaudhary. Normal prayer. How to achieve khushu'. Realizing that khushu' is highly recommended and many scholars hold the view that it's fard. Samatar. That's your achievement. Allah bless you. I mean. Realizing who you're standing in front of. Sumayya Ali. We want you to talk about this in detail. Why is khushu' so important? Who are you standing in front of? And mention the hadith that talk about not to do this, don't say this, because you're standing in front of Allah. Maryam, understanding that the worldly things that come to your mind while praying are only made possible by Allah's will. That's very easy, alhamdulillah. Anybody else? Is that everybody? That's everybody in the classroom? Raise your hand if you did not receive a noble assignment. Class. How much time left before the break?
8 minutes.
Huh?
8 minutes.
Okay, is class tomorrow?
No.
Okay. Class on what, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Homework is due on Wednesday. Please do not come late. It will affect your grade if you do not turn in this homework assignment. Yes. No more questions. Ask someone else. You can't go back. Malish. Okay, any other questions about why guys are frowning? People have sad faces. SubhanAllah. What assignment, Ikhwan? طيب خلاص. Yes, Yusuf. Khalil, tell Yusuf his assignment. Don't let no one look at your book ever again, Khalil. Do you understand? That's a trust between me and you. You understand, Khalil?
You have to do explain number 4 on the Salat, Fard, and Sunnah and Nafil. That which is highly recommended or on obligatory.
Also, Khalil, when we come back, we're going to give out debates. We have debates that are going to take place. Battles must continue.
We didn't do ours from last time.
Which one did you have?
It's bad.
Who's a part of your class? A lot of guys aren't here, right?
Pretty much everybody.
Alright, we'll make new teams. Not a problem. Never a problem. I have no problem being generous to my brothers and sisters, handing out assignments. I love you and I love myself. Any other questions before we stop? Any questions before we stop? Follow.
My question was, versus jihad, in the current day, my question is that, how do I know which way I should be going? An example, so some, let us say, traveling, and women traveling by themselves, it is okay if they're not staying overnight. Some say, no, if you are leaving the town, the city, you can't stay past the evening, you have to return back. Or an example, some say you can buy meat from the Stop and Shop, is okay. Some say no, it is not zabiha because they put it in the machine or electrify or whatever, so it is not purified, it is not tayyib. So, which way we should be going? I mean, how do I know if you are the mufti and I
Anybody have a stapler here? Stapler?
Sorry, I forgot to have my other pants.
Please, tomorrow, bring me, Wednesday, bring me a stapler. I need an industrial stapler.
Inshallah.
Hey, a Home Depot one. Who said why? Staple the talkers. We can't hear the question, guys. Please, respect your classmates. Everyone, you too, Ramla. Shush. Shush kebab. Shh. Huh?
Should I go going?
You got a stapler? Yeah, bring it.
Should I go going?
Yeah, Bismillah, please. Yes. Center. Okay, now, the question is, with regards to how do I know who to take from, who's mujtahid, so on and so forth. We say that you are responsible for doing what you understand to be correct, first and foremost. If you read a hadith, and the Prophet ﷺ says, it is unlawful for a woman who believes in Allah on the last day to travel without a mahram. Okay? If you read a hadith, and you've been taught that it was an authentic text, and it's clear to you, Masood, if you believe that it's an authentic text, and you've been taught this reliable book in Sahih Bukhari, and the hadith is clear to you, then it's not for you to ask anybody. It's not for you to ask anyone. But the moment it's unclear, and you is not this, I really don't understand, maybe so on and so forth, then you ask the person, thank you Yusuf, the person that you respect, his knowledge, his practice of the religion, and his piety. The person that you feel is knowledgeable enough, qualified, and has a good practice of the deen. Not an angel, okay? But someone who's a good, inshallah, he's a good brother, or a good sister, sheikh, whatever, okay? You ask them that question, whatever fatwa that they give you, alhamdulillah, you trust them, you respect them, that's your responsibility. Ask the people knowledge you don't know. The moment it's unclear, I'm not sure, should I ask, should I take from, then stay away from that which is doubtful. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, that's in brief. Okay guys, we have a stapler. I know several people who will be stable right now, but Allah loves to pardon.
Is it according to Sharia?
It's my Sharia in this classroom. Mufti Sharia. Yeah, the Sharia of our class. We have, just how we have rules, right? Right, Khalil? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we stop? Yes, Musa.
You said that there's jihad and nafs. Does
Okay.
peer pressure fall under jihad and nafs? Because you're
Question
praying?
says, resisting peer pressure doesn't fall under jihad al-nafs without any doubt. It's from the greatest jihad al-nafs, especially for the young Muslim teens, male and female. Peer pressure will destroy you, will crush you. Pressure busts pipes, as they say. There's no doubt. A lot of people, they do bad things, not because they like it or it's fun, just because they want to fit in and they want to feel cool. And they don't want to be talked about, oh, you're stupid, you're scared, you're this, you're chicken, you're blah, 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 blah. So resisting that temptation, resisting being mocked and made fun of, say, I don't care what you say. I'm Muslim. Yes, that's from the greatest types of jihad al-nafs. And every Muslim, especially the young Muslim men and women, the teenagers, you must understand that you shouldn't be a yes man or yes woman. You shouldn't be somebody who's always afraid and worried about what the next person is going to say or think about you. Who cares? So what? Call me what you like. It doesn't matter to me. Because life is short. And some of the decisions that you make, 16, 17, will stay with you for the rest of your life. And this is only a fad. It's only a craze. The guys who's asking you to go and do this crazy act, Naeem, them people, and trust me, in 5 years, 3 years, they're going to be nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. So peer pressure is something that the Muslim youth has to always be ready to repel. So what? I don't care. I know what I'm doing. This is my religion. Alhamdulillah. That's how the Muslim man and woman should be strong. Mentally strong. Not weak-minded, a follower, a tag-along, a tail. It's not the Muslim shabab. Wallahu alam. Okay, break time. You may all disperse.
Always there is a question. To see whether
Hold on, slow down, slow down. Slow down, honey. Slow down.
I'm hungry.